DreAllDay.com.
Tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve is yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative, which is the go-getter energy that moves any one of us out there to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And we put all this together in one bundle, one package, one mindset, one method, one philosophy, one book, one master class. This daily master class that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to do for self. How do you do things that will help you get better? How do you take care of yourself? How do you take personal responsibility? How do you hold yourself accountable? How do you put yourself in a position where your actions determine your success in life as opposed to other people's actions, as opposed to what other people are doing or not doing for you? How can you take complete control over your outcomes in life? That's what today's topic is. Now, this is a concept that I first heard of, do for self. I first heard of this when I was looking at the teachings of the 5% Nation, which is a denomination of the Muslim nation. And I believe this originated in the United States, but I could be wrong about that. The 5% Nation talks about doing for self, and also how many groups of people, I learned about this also through noting and learning, how many groups of people historically built strength in their communities, not by focusing on what had been done wrong unto them, nor on what they felt was owed to them by others, but by focusing on doing what they needed to do and what they could do for themselves, thus making themselves self-sufficient. Thus, this is a really good topic both for groups and for individuals who want to create that energy. If you want to do what I just laid out on not focusing on what was done wrong to you, replaying a bad movie, which I talked about in my book, Work on Your Game, not on what you think other people owe you, because if they really owed you, they would have gave it to you already. Obviously, they don't think the same way that you think. But by focusing on doing what you need to do for yourself and what you can do for yourself, and making yourself self-sufficient, meaning whatever it is that you want for yourself, whatever it is you wish to achieve, you can just go get it. And that starts with the way that you think. So if you're listening to this and you want to be one of those individuals, today's topic is perfect for you. If you are part of a group and you want the group to start thinking like this, today is also perfect for you. So no matter what situation, as long as you're trying to win and do your thing and you be in control of how much of your thing you actually do, you're listening to the right show at the right time. You're the right individual. So let's get right into it. Point number one, today's topic, once again, is how to do for self. Number one, focus on getting your house in order. And by house, I don't mean your actual physical living space. I mean your situation, whether that's your business, whether it's your relationships, your family, your team, if it's just you, if it's your finances, if it's your health, if it's your emotions, if it's your body, if whatever it is, focus on getting your house in order first. All right? You can't do for self if you can't take care of your own responsibilities, your own shit that you had before we even start talking about this. Make sure you got all that taken care of. In other words, what other people are doing is not your business if and when what you are doing is not 100% taken care of. Shall I repeat? Yes, I shall. What other people are doing is not your business if and when what you are doing is not 100% taken care of. Some people like to make the point that, and I've made this point, that, for example, being that the civil unrest going on in America, some people make the point that Black Lives Matter only gets riled up when the person to blame is white, ignoring black on black crime. They say, well, and then somebody who's a BLM supporter says, well, black on black crime is a distraction. You're just distracting from the main point that this white person did this, or black on black crime is different because a cop is supposed to serve and protect. And they say it's a distraction to bring up black on black crime when somebody is supporting a movement called Black Lives Matter. Listen, this is a fair point. The fair point being, why is nobody talking about what black people are doing to each other, what black people are doing internally, regardless of what white people have going on? It's a very fair point to ask that question. And I know people who are staunch supporters of Black Lives Matter or Black Lives Matter points. Maybe they don't run around saying Black Lives Matter or kneel or anything like that, but they say something like, well, why is anybody bringing up black on black crime? It's a distraction from the main point of what white people are doing or what cops are doing or what the government is doing. BLM fanatics usually respond to this with a dismissive comment or some ad hominem attack, attacking the person who says it. So, or they say nothing at all. This is the three responses that I've seen when somebody gets confronted with this question. What about what black people are doing to each other? So they basically turn it into, if you're white and you say black on black crime, you're racist. If you're black, you say black on black crime, you're some kind of Uncle Tom or in some way against the black race yourself, even though you're black. This is a reflection of a person who is unskilled in making arguments. All right, that's basically what this is. Now, I did an entire masterclass on how to build and deliver an argument. First of all, masterclass number 1424 is how to see both sides of any argument. And masterclass number 1612, how to formulate and present a logical argument. That was just about a week ago where I talked about that. In life, what you focus on, you create. So when your focus is on getting your house in order, your house will be well taken care of, which now empowers you to help your neighbor out, right? This is the way that it works. And the reason why I just brought up Black Lives Matter and black on black crime and things of that nature is because when it comes to black people as a group, so anyone here who's interested in empowerment of your race, if you're interested in empowerment of black people, or you're not even black and you just want to know what I think black people should do, I just gave you a class on that a couple days ago. But what black people need to do, first of all, is stop focusing on what everybody else is doing, and you got to focus on what you're doing. Because if you ain't got your shit together, who are you to condemn other people for not doing their shit? They're doing something that you think is wrong, okay, but you ain't doing anything right either. If the black community, we can't do things for ourselves, so we can't even stop killing each other. Why are we talking about what white people are doing? All right, we kill each other much more often than white people are. So why is nobody talking about this? Why is there no movement against this? Why is this not getting headline news? Because people don't really give a damn about that. Black people and people who are not black don't really care when black people are killing each other, at least not proportionally as much as when a white person does it, because that is something that you can stir up and make a news story out of. You can make a headline out of a white person did something to a black person. Ain't no headline to be made out of a black person doing something to another black person. It's a very fair point to bring up everything I'm saying here. If it wasn't a fair point, I wouldn't even be saying it. So in life, you get what you focus on. So if your focus is always on what everybody else is doing, then you're going to get more of what everybody else is doing. But if your focus, however, is on what you need to be doing, what you may not be doing, where you may be inefficient to this point, if you focus on that, you'll probably get better at it. You'll probably start producing some better results. You'll probably start getting some outcomes that you actually want, as opposed to getting more of the outcomes that you don't want. But you must focus on it first. On airplanes, and when they tell you before the flight takes off, usually they say this every time before the flight takes off. Hopefully you never experienced it while the flight was actually going on, that if there's a reduction in air pressure in the cabin, then what happens is these oxygen masks will drop. And what do they tell you? They say cover yourself first, put your own oxygen mask on first, then help your kids out, then help out grandpa, then help the strangers who don't know how to put on a mask. But they don't say help everybody else out first. Go see what everybody else is doing and address them first, then address you. Because by the time you get done addressing them, you're going to be out of oxygen, you're going to be dead. So and you might not even finish helping them out in the first place. So the first order of business is getting your own house in order. If you can't breathe, you can't help anybody else breathe. Okay? Help you first. Point number 2. Or address you first. Hold yourself accountable first. Point number 2. Today's topic is how to do for self. Number 2, accept that the game is not rigged in your favor. Maybe it is, but accept that it may not be. All right, expect that the game is not rigged in your favor. What does that mean? That means it is not set up specifically for you to win. You're going to have to deal with some obstacles. You're going to have to deal with some challenges. You're going to have to play some road games. You're going to have to face some road blocks. There will be people who have better, more favorable circumstances than you have, even though they have not done anything to earn it. There'll be people receiving opportunities that you don't receive. There'll be opportunities that you don't even know about until after the opportunity is gone that other people were fully privy to, and you think that is completely unfair. Guess what? This is the way that it works. Accept that the game is not rigged in your favor. This is a key point that I find myself constantly giving to people, especially on the subject of mental toughness. If you stop hoping or expecting people and systems to be on your side, you will not only stop having that complaint, you will also look to the only place that you can look, which is in the mirror, which is why the first book of mine you should read is called The Mirror of Motivation, which you can get at mirrorofmotivation.com. Let me say that sentence again. We're still on point number 2. The topic here today is doing for self, but point number 2 is accept that the game is not rigged in your favor. If you stop hoping for or expecting that people or systems will be on your side, you will not only stop having that to complain about, you will also start doing the only thing that is left for you, the only option remaining, which is to look in the mirror. There, in the mirror, you will see abilities and potentiality that you otherwise would never have uncovered. Many people in life are uncomfortable with such a discovery of looking in the mirror, or being forced to look in the mirror, or even the thought of only looking in the mirror and no longer looking at what everybody else is doing, because they get too busy looking on the plate of everybody else. They get too busy looking at what everybody else is eating, so they can't focus on what they're eating. I talked about this in masterclass number 1579. Never look at the food on another man's plate. You're looking at somebody else's food, that is not going to satiate your hunger. Many government programs, privately funded initiatives are made to try and, quote, level the playing field, close quote, because they think they'll be able to force equality by giving a certain amount of money, or creating this scholarship fund, or doing this thing, and that's going to make equality happen. Listen, people have been doing this for years. This stuff has been going on for decades, before any of us was alive. And guess what? We still ain't got equality, and it's not even that close. Why? The problem is people are not equal. You can't manufacture equality. If the game works favorably for someone else, that doesn't mean that the game has to work favorably for you. This is just the way that it works, people. I don't know who told you that it was supposed to go a different way. It is not supposed to go a different way. It's not going to go a different way. This is just the way that it is. When the game works for someone else, it does not have to work for you, okay? If you're looking on, and the only way you would even know that the game worked really well for another person is if you're looking on another person's plate. That is not going to satisfy your hunger. Stop looking on other people's plate. Look at your own plate. If you don't even have a plate, what you need to be focused on is going and getting a plate, so you don't have the problem of not having anything to eat. All right, that is how you do for self. Focus on you. The game does not need to go for you the way that it went for him, her, or them, or they. Point number 3. Today's topic is how to do for self. Third thing you must do is invest in human capital. What is human capital? We talked about this just a couple of days ago. Skills, knowledge, relationships, strategies, and education. That's what human capital is. Human capital are the abilities and tools that every individual person could or does bring to the table in a situation. How much human capital do you have to offer? How much intellectual property do you have? What skills do you have? What abilities do you have? What can you do that is valuable? What can you do that is marketable? What can you do that other people need done? What can you do that needs doing? That's human capital. What relationships do you have? Who do you know? What strategies can you follow? What education do you have? What connections do you have? What intangibles do you bring to the table, such as discipline, confidence, mental toughness, personal initiative? Do you have any of these things? These are all your human capital. If you don't have any human capital, then you can't create wealth. If you can't create wealth, you will be a broke at best and poor at worst individual. You cannot do for self, ladies and gentlemen, if you have no game. Human capital / game is what we can call it. Game is your abilities, your skills, what you bring to the table. You need tools to do work and to produce results. Does everybody agree with that? That in order to do work and produce results, you need some kind of tools? Okay. A good business, for example, needs people who can create a product or service, somebody who can market and sell a product or service, someone who's watching the money, somebody who deals with the customers, someone who's looking at the big picture of the business. Sometimes these roles are all done by one person, but they must all be accounted for one way or another. Any business that is successful. And every one of you is a business, by the way. So if we go back through those points, even if you don't own a business, listen, if you're a student or you have a job right now, you're just trying to figure your life out right now, you're retired right now, a product or service is you. You are the product or service. The better that product or service is, the better chance you have of actually selling it. Marketing and selling it mean letting people know about it and exchanging what you have to offer for money. Because even if you're not a money-driven, money-hungry individual, you need money to live. You need money for your food, clothing, and shelter. Then you need somebody who is watching the money, making sure that your money is taken care of so you can take care of yourself. Someone who is going to deal with the customers. Whoever you are trading with, whether that's your boss, whether it's your clients, your customers, whatever it happens to be, you're going to have to deal with those people because you got to give them something. They're expecting something. Somebody who's looking at the big picture. Where am I going overall? How am I getting better? How can I improve? These are all questions you should be asking yourself as a business, as an entity, as the CEO of You Incorporated. Every human being needs to do this, even if you are not an entrepreneur. Sometimes these roles are all done by one person. They must all be accounted for one way or another. And every single role that I just laid out, products, marketing, selling, watching the money, dealing with customers, looking at the big picture, each one of these roles requires a certain amount of human capital. It takes skills to create a product. It takes skills to do marketing. It takes skills to sell. It takes skills to create strategy. It takes skills to deal with other people. It takes skills to hold conversations. It takes skills to listen. It takes skills to make adjustments on the fly. Each one of those is human capital. Every skill is human capital. The more human capital you can amass and put together, the better equipped you will be to take care of yourself and do what you need to do for yourself, as opposed to looking for handouts and help from other people to help you do things that you should be doing for you, simply because you don't have the ability to do them. See Masterclass number 292, where I talked about the 10 essential roles of You Incorporated, the media company. There are 10 essential roles that need to be fulfilled in a media company. You could do them all yourself, but you got to have all those skills. You got to have 10 different skills to fulfill all 10. If you only got 5, you need to fill those other 5 skills either with 1 person, 2 people, 5, somewhere in between. What skills do you bring to the table? This is a question. You have to have answers for this question. You cannot do for self, you have no skills. You can't do anything for anyone, you have no skills, actually. What can you do that people need? What's something that people in the world need that you offer? What results can you produce? What's an outcome you can help someone get to that if they dealt with you, they can get to that outcome, and otherwise they wouldn't get it, or you can help them get it a lot faster, or just help them get it a lot better than what they've been getting? These answers, the answers to these questions, represent your human capital. If you want to be somebody in life, then you need this. You need a mass of human capital. You need to continue to amass human capital. I talked about Masterclass number 1381, how to handle the heat of becoming a somebody in life. All right, and there is heat that comes with being a somebody. There's a tension that comes with it. You're going to need some human capital. The more human capital you have, the better you'll be able to deal with that heat. And that heat will come when you become a somebody. If you want to be a somebody, build that capital. Keep building it. Keep adding to it. Keep sharpening it. Keep making it better. In other words, keep working on your game. Let's recap today's class, which is how to do for self. It's a concept that I first heard from the 5% Nation, but it's also something I heard about any groups of people who build strength in their communities by not focusing on what had been done wrong to them or what they thought was owed to them, but by focusing on what they needed to do to make themselves self-sufficient. Point number 1, focus on getting your own house in order, not what everybody else needs to do, but on what you need to do. What other people are doing is not your business if you haven't taken care of what you need to do yourself. Point number 2, accept that the game is not rigged in your favor. This is a key thing that I find myself constantly telling people on the subject of mental toughness. Stop hoping or expecting that people and systems will be on your side so that you will no longer have anything to complain about, and you have to start looking in the mirror, which is the only place you should be looking anyway when it comes to personal leadership, personal accountability, and personal responsibility. Many people are uncomfortable with such a discovery of looking in the mirror because they're too busy looking at the food on other people's plates, like I talked about in Masterclass number 1579. People are not equal, so no amount of government programming or charity is going to, quote, level the playing field, close quote, enforce equality amongst humankind. Is impossible because people don't make the same decisions, even if you give everyone the same starting point. After not too long of a time, people will be in different positions because people make different choices, even with the same opportunity. Just because the game worked favorably for person A does not mean it's going to work favorably for person B, and you might be person B. Point number 3, invest in human capital, skills, knowledge, relationships, strategies, and education. You cannot do for self. You have no game, ladies and gentlemen. You need tools to do work and to produce results. A good business, for example, needs people who can create, people who can market, people who can watch things, people who can deal with customers, people who are looking at the big picture. All of these are different skills. Sometimes you need all these skills in one person. Sometimes you could dissipate them amongst 10, 20, 100 different people. But every role must be filled. And if you cannot fill all those roles, then you need to go find or acquire the human capital that can do so. If you want to be a somebody in life, you need to amass human capital, because the more of a somebody you become, the more skills will be required of you. And skill is human capital. And every skill you don't have, that capital will be used against you by people who do have it. They will overtake you, pass you by, and be wondering what the hell happened. Work on your game. Dre all day.